Okay, this is a call to order for the January Historic Preservation Commission meeting. It is Wednesday, January 8th, 6 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chairman Evan Goodwin.
Here.
Vice Chairman Joe DePaul.
Here.
Commissioner Carletha Frazier. Yes. Commissioner Jim Hess.
Here.
Commissioner Tim Probst. Commissioner Carrie Schmelter. Commissioner Debbie Wonder.
Okay. Notice reading regarding adjournment. The Historic Preservation Commission will not hear new items after 9:30 p.m. unless authorized by a majority vote of the commission members present. Items which have not been heard before 9:30 p.m. may be continued to the next regular meeting or a special meeting date as determined by the commission members. I'm looking for an adoption of the minutes. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are adopted as written. Do we have any public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to old business. We have one certificate of appropriateness.
Good evening and Happy New Year. This particular item, 34 Tabby's Shell, was continued from the November meeting to allow the applicant to have an opportunity to make some revisions. The applicant is Sea Island Construction Group on behalf of the property owner, William Glover. And the proposal is to construct a new 2-story single-family residential structure, approximately 2,874 square feet, and an attached 2-story carriage house of approximately 1,100 square feet. The property is located at 34 Tabby Shell, Lot 18 in Tabby Roads Development, and is zoned neighborhood general. Here you see the property. It's close to the eastern portion of the development near Burnt Church Road. An aerial photograph. Currently the property is wooded. And here is the site plan, Tabby Road here at the top. And here is a view, and I'll go through these quickly and we can come back to them. The front view, the left view, the rear view from the alley, the interior view of the back of the house and the carriage house, the view of the left side of the building, roof plan, building section, foundation plan, as well as the floor plans, wall sections if we need to see them, the door and window details, and the review criteria. So all of the review criteria appear to have been met except for the items that I'm about to go over. And again, we can kind of bounce back to the slides that we need to see. So based on what was resubmitted, there are some detail items that we need. For example, one, basically identifying the type of the tabby stucco, or whether it's going to be a stucco with a sand or steel trowel finish. That needs to be identified on the plans. We've asked for a door schedule to identify the types of materials that will be proposed for the door. We are asking for an additional column detail. What was presented was a little bit difficult to read. Additionally, provide bracket details for the carriage house eyebrow roof and show the bracket material that is common to the Bluffton vernacular. And let me back up to that. I did not see that on the plans, and you can see the bracket detail here in the back over the garage. Identify the type of standing seam metal to be used, the gutter material, provide the service yard details and showing the location of the electric panels. We like to see that 75% tree canopy coverage is being provided, so that will need to be shown on that final submission if the COFA is approved tonight, as well as the trees to be removed. I did identify some things I thought that we needed a determination on. They include the 1-foot inset for the wall connecting the main structure to the carriage house. I'll go back to that. That hardy board is an appropriate cladding material for the columns. It's not identified as being permitted by the UDO. And also a determination that the powder coated steel proposed is an appropriate material for the second floor porch railing. And let me go back to that. And you can see here in the porch railing, let me do the front elevation so we can see that a little bit better there. And identify, and after, as I was putting this together, I did notice, looking at the window schedule, that it appeared that the windows that I've identified here in red appear to be awning, and I think maybe the applicant can speak to that. But other than that, that pretty much is my presentation. You can choose to approve the recommendations of staff. You can have additional conditions, or you can deny what has been presented to you. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions for staff?
There was an application page in the packet, like page 3 of the application, there were 2 copies, and there was a red note in the top that one was different than the other. I didn't see any differences. Was that something you annotated?
It was, yes, it was. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to recall, it might have been a number change. There was something, it was a very slight thing.
But as far as all the square footage, you checked that, and that's all
Correct, I
in
have.
compliance?
Mhm.
Okay. In the comments, your comments, a couple of them were in blue. Did that indicate anything separate from?
In blue, do you mean that I just went over?
Yeah, your recommendations.
Yeah, those were the things that I focused on. I didn't want to get
Okay.
too far into the details of materials. Those are kind of standard things that we include, and it's really more for the applicant to provide final submission.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Any questions for the applicant? Does the applicant want to present at all?
We're happy to answer any questions. We thought, we made a list of the things that we had discussed last time, and I think we've addressed all of them.
If you could state your name.
I'm
For the
Sawyer
record.
Graham, and this
And
is
you-
Preston Glover.
And you are the?
Alley Construction Group or the applicant.
Specific questions?
I got a couple questions. We go to the wall section. It says on there, if you can kind of blow up on that porch, that the decking, what is I assume that's gonna be waterproofing, that decking there on the second floor? So it looks like there's just wood that's on plywood. Decking material applied to plywood.
I can't see on this computer, I'm sorry.
Can you blow that up? Kind of the middle.
It's so,
Go down a little bit.
and it's going to be legible. Which one is it? Is the middle?
Yeah, go up. So the second floor right there,
Right
that
here?
middle one, yeah. Can you zoom in? Can you see that writing, or is that?
Probably going to be pixelated.
Yeah. Charlie, are you able to pull up the actual plan set? Rather than the PowerPoint?
I don't know if I can get to it. Can I get to it from here, Carrie, do you think?
What's it in?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the plans here as well. Just looking at that detail, it's called out as 5/4 decking on top of 3/4 inch tone and groove plywood decking, glue and screw. So I think Tim's question is, there's a lot of banding going on there, and that's an odd way to do the waterproofing, and that would potentially, if you put it on sleepers or something, that would really affect.
So, yeah,
So that,
I mean, one, you'll have a slope you gotta create to create that. So that'll be one sleeper, and then you'll have another sleeper on top of that, so the water can drain in between it. So my concern is that banding will get really tall. Because there's more depth in there than what's showing. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I haven't thought much about that. I knew we're probably gonna do a waterproof membrane there. And then I didn't necessarily know if we were going to be doing decking on top of that membrane or just leaving it a membrane. But if that's what he's got in the plans,
It's called out as decking. I think it needs to be decking. I don't think it can be a membrane.
yeah, I mean, I think it would be unexpected in the historic district and in Tabby Roads to not have some sort of finished flooring on the second floor.
Right.
Yeah, then we would do 5-quarter pressure treated decking.
Right. So I think, to expand out on this detail, because I had some comments on that, that entire wall section is quite different from the building section and the elevations still. There's when you look at the top of that section, above the top beam, there's a whole lot more head height there, and some siding indicated that's not in there. And then there's an awful lot of things on that detail that are just labeled weep screed that are not weep screeds. And then you guys added column detail, which, visually looks appropriate, but none of that is called out as specific parts and pieces. And this entire house is pretty much the front porch. And that detail, I think, is pretty significantly lacking in accuracy right now. And I didn't catch that flooring, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I would agree. I would also expand that to the wall section to the right. That's not what's on the elevation because it's showing siding all the way down. And you have, is it siding on the bottom and board and batten on top? So there'll be a band board, there'll be more details in that. So the wall section to the right just shows lap siding from first floor all the way up to the soffit.
Right, okay.
So that needs to be, because there's missing elements in there, there'll be a band board that will need to be called out what that is, but what is it, top board and batten? One way or the other,
Bottom is board and batten and the top is.
Yeah.
so it's called out as lap siding all the way down, so that needs to be clarified.
Yeah, I think we need to know, somebody needs to, in order to be able to build it and for us to approve it, to know the parts and pieces of the band board.
The parts and pieces of the band board in between the
Right, yeah, your
board and batten, in between the board and batten and the.
Yeah, call out and detail the stuff that we are approving
Right,
graphically in the elevation.
Yeah, typically that's just hardy plank there, so yeah, I apologize, I realize that now. Typically, when you hire a siding subcontractor, they're not looking at this detail, they're looking at your elevations, and then we go over it on site,
You can say that.
Yeah.
You've got 3 architects up here and we disagree. And we submit stuff to boards all the time and you've got to go with the detail. The detail is the most detailed. This is the largest drawing in there. Should be calling out the parts and pieces.
Right, yeah.
Detail of everything.
Oh, yeah,
so that
yeah,
people can
typically.
reference it.
Typically on how the house is constructed, yes, but siding, I would say, none of our siding contractors are looking at the details. They're more or less going on the elevations. But yes, in the soffit, yeah.
But how do they know what to order?
We just do a takeoff, based on
Well, how do you know what to order?
measure of the house,
Yeah.
measure what you got there, and.
How do you know
see-
what we've approved as far as the bands and stuff without pointed to and dimensioned?
Well, you would just scale typically you just, you look at the elevation and we make it look just like the elevation. You scale the band board. Are you asking me what size the band board is or?
Yeah.
It's
What
bunch of stuff called
material is it? And,
Hardy.
baseboards and everything too. Yeah.
Yeah, all of our cladding is hardy.
Okay.
So
How big is the hardy piece?
the band board,
Yeah.
I'm not 100%. We'd have to scale what's on these. I see what you're saying. You just need the
Right.
detail to match the.
Right.
We need to match, we need to
That's
call
the
it out,
discussion we
right.
had last time. You guys were here 2 months ago.
Right. No, yeah,
A little surprised at the details.
No, that wasn't brought up. We were talking about what was above the column. Like how we were gonna finish above the column, basically the beam above the top column on the
Right.
porch. And we tried to have that addressed, obviously. You guys are obviously better architects than our architect. So other than just clarifying that on the detail, that the top is shakes and the bottom is board and batten and the band board.
Yeah, that needs to represent what's actually being built. And that calls out, the board and batten's got a spacing, it's got, the pieces need to be called out, what the actual board is, basically. All that. And then the band board calls out that, what's the sill that's on top of that band, all that stuff called out, and detailed.
The columns details are updated as well, but not they're just graphically shown. They're not actually called out parts and pieces. And then when you look at the top of the porch, they removed the bracket. They kept, none of the bearing height or anything is right. And so it doesn't really show. And all the elements that are hidden. So like this one that you're pointing at right now,
This one.
that one, none of the parts and pieces of the beam trim are called out. Size, spacing, anything like that. But it is graphically a better representation of what's going on, I think, on the second floor porch.
This is the screen porch detail.
Yeah, but if you scroll up to the second floor porch, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to have a similar height to that, but it is like 2 feet taller with some board and batten siding shown that I think from the elevations looks like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
If you keep scrolling up.
Keep scrolling up.
Yep, that top in the middle, right there.
This piece here.
Yeah, I think your roof, I think there's, when you're looking at the beam on the porch, and then the ceiling, and then the top plate there, I think the roof, visually from the elevations, looks like it's sitting on the sill plate on that little knee wall, but it's, another taller, and there's siding in there that's not called out, but I don't think any of that siding exists. I mean, it's hard to.
You're talking about this siding here? Like
Yeah.
the freeze board and this piece right here?
Yeah, but that stuff beneath it, if you look on the elevation, none of that siding is.
Well, you wouldn't be able to see that from the elevation because the eave covers it. We're talking about like this where it calls out the 1x4 trim and the 2x2 trim, the freeze
The
board.
elevations, like it's, the bearings another 2 feet lower on them. I think, when you look at the detail in the center and where that beam is, and you look at the detail in the bottom left and where that beam is and how that trim stacks, that trim stack looks more like what is in your elevation on the higher pitched roof than the one in the middle.
This bottom left one here?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
That's
So-
right. I mean, there's definitely more height space on that.
So I think the larger concern of what we're talking about or getting at with all these is that we're not quite sure what we're approving based off of the details and not matching up with the elevations. I think the last time you guys presented, we suggested you might ask for a meeting with the HPRC and sit down so we can talk about these individually. That didn't happen, and I think that would help you guys a lot.
The timeline on this project is pushed in near 2 years that we've been sitting with the town.
Yeah.
We worked with Katie for a long time, and she dropped the ball many times. I know she's not here anymore, but a lot of these things could have been addressed a year ago.
Well, at the HPRC level, we're not reviewing, I mean, it's an elevation and floor plan. review.
Right.
We've seen these details at this level once. to my
Okay,
knowledge.
and
You
I
guys
thought-
went around in circles with Tappy Road.
What's that?
Because they're requiring things that you guys aren't approving.
Well, oh, no, I'm not sure really what's going on. I know we made a list last time when we were at this meeting, and I thought we addressed everything on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I think we appreciate that you've added like bases to the columns, but the parts and pieces aren't identified.
And when you mean the parts and pieces of the column, I mean, it's a, prefabricated,
Right?
like the 12 by 12, it's treated material that they make into a column. It's just a square column. And then the top piece here is called out as 1x4 pressure treated trim. And then the base on the column is called out here as
Weeples.
2x12 pressure treated trim. Right here. Oh, wait, no. 2x12 pressure treated deck joist.
That's your
Yeah,
joist
that's your deck
called out.
joist. Okay, I see. So instead of it saying weep holes, it needs to call out what the bottom piece of trim is on the column.
Right.
Okay. And then what else was it that wasn't matching up on the elevation?
So from the beam to the plate is much higher in this than it is on the elevation. It's not called out what the height is there, but I mean, it looks like it's 3 feet, and on the elevation, it looks like it's a foot.
You're talking about this knee wall right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that knee wall doesn't look like it's there on the elevation. That soffit's much lower.
And
And I wouldn't want to approve a drawing that's that inaccurate, because if if the framer goes and scales off of this and builds a house an extra 2 feet taller,
Well, that'd be an issue, because I don't know how you trim
we're
that,
expecting it to be, and it's got weird siding on top of that, then, we've got a disagreement because the plans are mismatched.
This is exactly, this is the,
I know you guys took taken a lot of time in the review process. Not all of it has been HVC, but this is the second time you guys have come in and told us you are not going to build on the plans that you're submitting and not to
Well,
look at the plans.
there's
you're
obviously small discrepancies. And this is the third property we've built in historic downtown Bluffton, so we have a pretty good idea of what you guys both have been approved and sold for $1.4 million.
Okay.
And,
Great.
and this one, like I said, the siding guys, our siding guys, we just scale based on and typically also with, ARBs and like this architectural review process, typically that's what they're looking at is the elevations. And I understand 100% you want this to be right. I'm just trying to figure out exactly. So that scale right there doesn't match what's on the elevations.
I mean, we're not scaled, but it looks like if you look at the elevation, it looks like that whole soffit is 2 feet further down.
Yeah.
Because if it gets built like this, then you're gonna have this weird thing that's not really called out. I think what you really want is a column or a beam, right? And then you want that roof sitting on there, so it looks just like a beam. And this thing, it looks like there's the beam.
Absolutely.
And there's siding or something that's not specified above that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which
Well,
is not what we want.
what's probably gonna happen is these ceiling joists for the deck are gonna hang off of this column, or off of this beam. And the rafters will probably sit
I
directly
don't think
on
that knee wall is there. I think that plate, there's probably one piece of plate on top of that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
All the way
I'm not
down.
sure why he's got that, to tell you the truth. In actuality, yes, the ceiling joists of the deck will hang off of this beam, and the rafters will sit on that beam and be, anchored to it. Okay. So this needs some adjustment here, and then, so this.
Yeah, I mean, I think by that picture or the elevation that it's actually, the plate is the plate of the header, and then that joist is notched out, ceiling joist. So that the ceiling joist plate is the same, is sitting on the plate of the header, not on top of the plate.
Right
of the,
here.
the joist, yeah. So that whole thing, I think it's way down. I think that joist is actually sitting on the header plate where that top of that rod is.
This right here. Yeah, you can see here that he's got the ceiling joist sitting on top of the beam, which is incorrect. They'll hang off the beam. None of that will be on top of the beam.
Well, no, I think it sits on top of there, but I mean, it can sit on top of it. I think I'd rather it sit on top of it so it reads as a beam, but that whole, the actual joist for the rafter, or not the joist, the rafter is sitting on top of the plate for the beam, right? So it's, and then that joist comes in the same plane and it's notched out, the angle of the rafter.
Look, regardless, I think discussing what we think is going to happen or what's probably going to happen on site is not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss
Absolutely.
what it's going to
Understood.
look like based off the drawings, and the drawings don't really represent it. So I don't see this getting, I mean, I'm not going to speak for the rest of the commission, but I would really request you guys, I would highly suggest you table it and come talk to the HPRC so that we can deal with all of these separately, rather than talking again for another 30 minutes and then sending you back again,
No, understood, yeah. We had that second meeting with Katie before she left, and I think you were there at that meeting. And none of this came up, and then we've already been to
Well,
this meeting.
we didn't have those details back then.
No, this is all the detail sections were in the plans from the beginning, the ones.
Yeah,
that we've
yeah, I
submitted.
mean, this, you didn't have.
They
the-
were incorrect, you're
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, you had the bracket. This is completely different from the bracket. It's part of the reason I think why there's so much height there is that. they
Yeah,
did
he
completely
just quickly changed
The
it out.
bases weren't there. So really, I mean, the only thing that you could say that you submitted that wasn't really caught, which is not, we're not typically reviewing details at that level. I mean, it is, you submitted them, it would have been nice to have it caught, is the band board not being in the detail, but, usually people between those steps are coordinating their drawings and things like that.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that's why, because there were brackets here. I'm not sure what's going on here, to tell you the truth.
Right, and so it's hard for us to review.
No, understood. And then, so this is correct, this bottom left one here, the screen porch section is correct. So we just need to update this one, call out, it doesn't need to say weep hole, it needs to say what the bottom trim is, because we actually added that. And we changed the columns based on what we talked about last time.
Yeah, I remember.
And we just made them square with a, 1x4 at the top, and it's probably gonna be a 1x8 at the bottom, maybe a 1x10. But yeah, so we'll call those out, and then this needs to be clarified here. But, other than that, is there no way that we could, approve it with conditions and get those fixed?
Well, even there, you said it might be a 1x10 or it might be a 1x8. That's a small thing that can change, but you start to stack all those up, and then we end up with a project that could look very different from what we approved. And I appreciate that you've done other houses and they've turned out well and they've sold well. But it's just, we take them on a case-by-case basis, and we want to be thorough and make sure that what we're approving is when
Could we address, everything that she brought up?
Sure.
In terms of just making sure that we cover all these bases?
Yep.
That'd be great.
So other than the details, the elevations look good to you guys?
I think the inset on that corner, the inset that went from 6 inches to a foot is a welcome change. The bracketed roof over the garage rear elevation helps, as well as lowering it with the scale. I thought that helped a good bit. I think, what else did we talk about? The 9-foot door at the front to 8 feet. Looks good. Was there?
Lowering the roof of the garage.
Lowering the roof of the garage, which was the 1-foot piece.
We got rid of the faux windows and we moved them
Yes, yeah.
into the real
On
windows.
that side
and
elevation.
We put them in the location that you guys suggested.
I
Yeah.
had a question on the chimney cap rotating. Are you using a masonry chimney so then that won't have a spark arrestor, so we're not concerned about we won't see a metal spark arrestor cap sticking up inside of the bishop's cap?
No, it's not, you're talking about the flue of the chimney
The
being
flue
like
of the
masonry?
chimney?
No,
So the
it
flue
will
of the
be.
chimney is gonna be metal?
Yes.
I think I would like to see that chimney cap rotated back, because I don't think from the street you want to be looking at.
I saw a note, there was a note in the staff report about them rotating it to be away from, it said Bruin Road, which was
Yeah,
not,
That'd be Burnt Church.
I know, but
Yeah.
it said Bruin, that's why I was confused. So, and it says that it was rotated.
And there's also a house
Yeah, I was a
separating
little confused.
house from Burnt Church.
What's that?
There's also a house.
Yeah, I know, that's why I was confused by that note. I meant to bring that up earlier.
But typically, with an open chimney cap like that, if you have the metal spark arrestor in there, nobody wants to see that. You rotate it sideways so it shows to the sides and not to the street.
I see, okay. I think someone had suggested, I think it was the ARB again, sitting here making suggestions that you guys are kicking back and,
Yeah.
saying, the ARB wanted us to rotate it 90 degrees because they like the bishop's art, the teardrop shape.
Yeah.
And they wanted to see it from the street elevation, I believe, which there's a wooded lot between here and Burnt Church, but there is no house in between.
Right, yeah, on that right side, or left side facing the house.
So you guys would like to see that rotated backwards or back to?
I would prefer it, but if it's something that you guys have approval from the Tabby Roads ARB and that's what they
Right, I
asked
mean,
for, that's not really our purview.
I mean, it is our purview, but if they create some complexities, I think it's all right if it stays facing the street.
I just have one comment. Can we go to the elevations? Can you flip to the side elevation? A small comment. Yeah, right, that's good right there. I appreciate they lowered the roof. I think I'd probably want that connector to be the same level as the garage, so is there a reason we couldn't move that connector roof down? So the main house reads as the main house, and the connector and the garage are 1 foot lower. See what I'm saying? Is there, it looks like the windows and everything would be, they're in the same plane, so I don't see why you couldn't lower that around
Correct.
1 foot. So that reads as a connector so then the house is a little more prominent, the main house.
Right, yeah, understood. I think this is technically part of this floor here, so I think,
But the back part's the same floor height too, the garage, bonus room.
Yeah, the bonus room, actually, you're gonna enter you're gonna enter the bonus room from, I believe, this landing here, and then you would go up a little bit, and this floor is connected to the main house. I think that's why he did
I
it
think we
like that.
talked about that, but I don't think the plans reflected it.
Plans don't. Plans,
Yeah.
I think, look like it's all the same level.
Yeah, because I remember us talking about it and looking
Yeah,
to see
going
if
to
we
the,
did it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that was the case, I would vote that the garage should get considerably shorter. I don't know
Right,
whether-
but it's not. Yeah, they were trying to keep that, I mean, yeah, it's the same level. Everything's the same level. I mean, it's minimal. I mean, you minimally move that down.
Move this roof down, yep.
Moving it down,
I think it would look better. You're right, I agree. But you're saying basically this
soffit goes down to the.
this fascia board be the same level as this fascia board? Yep.
Are we making a motion on this?
Yeah, that's what I want to keep coming back to.
Or can then go back to review so that all this discussion can happen there, we can move on?
Yes, in the interest of getting the other projects before the commission, I don't feel comfortable with staff reviewing all of the changes that we're talking about, but not really putting into a list.
That was, yeah, where I was at as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it, because like, that's what I tried to do last time, is, when we
Get
had
the
these
big
discussions.
ticket.
And I got everything that we talked about, and we
Yeah.
made all those changes, so, and I see that now there are some new changes that we've made those
Yeah.
changes that are kind of coming up. So bracket detail here, you want to see a bracket detail there. We need to fix those two wall sections. One is mainly the siding is incorrect. You want to see a band board call out. It needs to be shakes above and board and batten below. And then this detail section needs to get fixed, so that it matches what's on the plan. Basically, the elevations need to match the detail.
Yeah.
But other than that, are we good with the powder coated aluminum or steel handrails?
I think we had talked about that before.
Talked about
and
that
Yeah,
last
we-
time, a couple spots in that location in the neighborhood.
We've done that a couple times in the neighborhood. I don't see that being an issue.
Okay, awesome. And all the other changes that we made, so pretty much that, and then we'll lower this breezeway roof a little bit. And then do you want us to turn the chimney?
I mean, look, I think where I'm at is if Tabby Rhodes is gonna hold strong, it's something I would just approve.
Yeah, I think that's fine to leave it as
I think
is.
it would look better turned,
Mhm.
so.
No, I agree. What do you mean?
So the HPRC meets every Monday, but I don't know that this needs to be a formal process. If you can just request a special meeting, and is that something that we could?
Yeah, I think we can follow it up. I don't think it has to be an HPRC meeting.
Sure.
Just provided, we don't have a quorum.
Three or less, right?
So are we still looking at a 2-month timeline from this date?
When's the next submittal date
Are you talking about for the next,
for the next HPC?
I think it's this week.
Yeah.
What is the process with you guys approving with conditions versus, a 2-month timeline? We've spent
I
over
mean-
$7,000 with our architect and just changes,
Well, and
Going
in
back and
fairness,
forth
we
with
asked you to
ARB.
come to the HPRC and talk to us to avoid this situation, unfortunately.
Well, that was just suggested in December. I mean, I do understand that, but with the holidays, everybody was busy and we have.
But we didn't get you didn't even request it, so we might have been able to do something. I think I don't see this getting approved. I mean, we're not going to go to a vote. We can go to a vote if you'd like and see.
We obviously proved that we addressed all 12 issues that you had before in a timely manner,
Yeah, but you didn't really, because you didn't really call out any of the parts and pieces and you didn't detail your bracket. It's just kind of drawn,
So it goes back to the issue of we're not still
We require
100% sure what we're approving.
Understood. Understood. We'll get it buttoned up. And HPRC, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. HPRC is the process that we go through where it used to be Katie.
Right, so
That's-
HPRC is a subset of the commission of the HPC. They meet typically just to do the conceptual review, to talk about, overall, is it going in the right direction, things like that. You went through that. We don't often review the details at that level because they're typically not done. If you had them, it's great to look at, but we know that things will change. But they are available also for consultations and, sort of informal discussions if you need. So I think that'll help really get like a detailed list of, here's the things that we feel comfortable with you changing, that then you can come back to the board, to the full commission.
We just for the longest time didn't know who the point of contact was, and there was months that went on without communication. Even the last communication.
I'm
to
sorry that
Charlotte,
happened,
We
but-
we submitted, and it took 13 days, for her to respond to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, I'm sorry that happened to you, but that's not.
We have, we have it's like 25 business days to review, or 15 business days to review for the HPRC. That's the standard process. That's part of the process. The kind of the 2-month run between HPC meetings is just part of the process. It takes time in the town of Bluffton.
Yeah, I think we're almost there. We'll get these taken care of. And if we do the HPRC review, one of the HPC commissioners is going to be there?
Yes, so the HPRC is made up of several commission members.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the 2 chairmen and a 3rd member.
Okay. Yeah, because the conceptual review, it's typically just been Katie, and then I think there was one person at our conceptual review.
Yeah, and typically, it'll typically be, they've reviewed it, the HPRC has reviewed it. They may not attend that meeting, but they've reviewed it and given comments to Katie or to Charlotte ahead of time. What's that?
Yeah, we'll table it.
Okay.
And then can we make it next month rather than 2 months, do you think?
Well, the next submission date is this week, correct?
Today.
It's today, so.
We're a week behind.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll just table it, and we'll do this one more time.
All right, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
be clear, is there,
Did we go over every objection that you had? Because I know you had some windows circled in red, and
yeah, so
I don't think
just
so.
so we're not doing this again.
Well, no, we'll do
We
it.
can do that in the
We can do it
HPRC
then.
meeting?
the next HPRC meeting would be January 21st.
Okay.
That's a Tuesday. We've got a Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on the 20th.
Okay.
This following Monday?
No, that's canceled. That's already gone out because we
Yeah.
didn't have any submissions. So do we want to shoot for the 21st?
Sure.
And when can we get your submission? How quick can you get back to us? So we've got time to take a look.
When's the next meeting? Like, if we get it to you the next day, or a couple days after that HPRC meeting,
Well, the next one would be the 21st, so we need it in advance to be able to.
He's asking when the next commission meeting is.
Without it.
Well, I think we can take this at this HPRC meeting that's coming up, knowing what we've discussed, and then go through all of the items so that then you can go to your architect with all of the items we've discussed, have them make the changes so they can submit by the February date, and then we'll review it in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll take care of it. Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do you need to vote
Do we need to
on-
vote to
You
table?
do.
Okay. Can I get a vote or a motion?
I will motion to table the submission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? The certificate of appropriateness submission is tabled. Moving on to new business, another COFA submission.
All right, the next item is for 50 Pritchard Street, just up the road. The request is from the applicant, Ansley Manuel of Manuel Studio, for the property owner Beth McHugh, and the request is for a certificate of appropriateness to allow the construction of a rear addition of approximately 591 square feet to an existing 2-story residence that's approximately 1,500 square feet, a new side deck addition, and a new metal front porch roof. Properties in Old Town and Zone Neighborhood General. And here's the location, just up the road. Existing house in the property next to another house. And here's photos of the existing house, which was built back in the 1990s before we had a UDO, which was adopted in 2011. So it doesn't quite match our current requirements. We are applying the requirements of the UDO, so there's a little inconsistency. And this rear porch addition that you see here would be removed. Here is the existing site plan and the proposed site plan, and you see here the new addition in the back of the property, and then a new deck addition to the side of the house. Foundation plan, existing floor plans, the ground floor plan. So there is space underneath the existing house right now for storage and to park a golf cart. And then here's the proposed floor plan that will be for a master bedroom and a sunroom. Proposed second floor plan, a slight bump out here to allow for windows. The roof plan. And here's comparison of the elevations. And you see on the front porch, there is proposed standing seam metal. The existing roof material right now is asphalt shingles. Here's the left elevation, and you can see the change here in the rear. Porch will come off, and the addition at the first floor. And one thing to note here, there is some inconsistencies. The addition will not include shutters, and they are included on the existing house. The shutter doesn't absolutely match the window proportions, so there will need to be a determination whether or not there should be shutters on the addition. The addition for the bedroom at the first floor will also have a standing seam metal roof. Again, that's not consistent with the existing shingle roof, and so staff is requesting determination of that. There is a fixed window here. I believe there is an existing fixed window right now. And wall sections, porch details, some additional details regarding windows and doors. Review criteria, it's consistent with, except for the few items that I'm about to mention. We do need a little detail information regarding the material for the standing seam metal roof, as well as the stucco application. Staff is requesting that the commission make a determination that the standing seam metal roof on the first floor addition is appropriate, given the asphalt shingles for the main structure. Need a determination whether the lack of shutters on the addition is appropriate, given the use of shutters on the existing residence, and whether or not the rear fixed window is appropriate, as it is not a permitted configuration. That concludes my presentation. Again, you have the ability to approve staff recommendation, have additional conditions, or deny the application.
Okay, thank you. Questions for staff? Okay, any questions for the applicant? Would the applicant like to come forward?
You can stay there with him. Ansley Manuel, the architect, and Beth McHugh, the homeowner. So, well, I'll address the metal roofs on the bottom. Do you have the, all right, so we're looking at this one. I think, I don't mind the hybrid of roof materials when the metal roof isn't dying into the asphalt roof. And in this case, both roofs die into a wall, and they're both the first story roofs.
Do you want another view?
Yeah, we could look at the front elevation again. So you'll see, that roof is going from asphalt to metal, and then the wraparound in the back will also be metal. If you all want to discuss that now, or if I should just go to the next item.
Any questions?
I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to have it on the lower roof. I don't see an issue.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me either. Anybody else feel differently? Okay, and that should be a non-issue.
So the fixed window, that's in the rear. And it's actually, I think it's not the one you have marked. It's the 3-gang windows, the middle one. So I've got 2 operables on the end. We're looking at the 3-gang on the first level. That's in the Carolina room. I just commonly do that because the middle one's a picture window.
Would those be sash set rather than direct set, so they'll have the same frame?
Yeah, so if I have to make them all operable, I can. It's not going to change the look of the window at all.
Right, I mean, I guess that's what I was getting at. If it's a
Yeah.
sash set window, it's just a fixed casement, not a direct set picture
Right.
with a real thin
Right.
frame to it.
I don't have any issue with that, with the middle one being fixed.
No, I don't. I mean, so are all these windows operable except the middle, is what you're saying?
Yes, with the three in a row. I just have the center windows fixed.
Yeah, the center one being fixed is fine.
It's a pretty common application of that in
Yeah.
the triple.
Does anybody else have thoughts on that or qualms? Okay.
And then in upstairs, the reason I had to even do anything to the upstairs is because I couldn't get an egress on that window unless I brought the rear portion of that bedroom forth. That's the only reason we had to do any addition up there. Oh, the shutters.
Shutters.
Okay. If we go to the pictures of the house, there's a hodgepodge of things going on with the existing house. Okay. So some of the windows have these long shutters, some don't have shutters. You can see the rear doesn't have shutters. There was one more photo of the rear, I think. You can't really see it there. So the rear doesn't have shutters at all, and I'm not so sure I actually think those shutters are very attractive, but I will, we can have some shutters.
They're hurricane shutters.
But they do serve a purpose.
And so we can lose the shutters if that's aesthetically what needs to happen, but I'm just wondering, and that's something we can talk about.
So, in an effort, it seems like one of the things we're discussing is all shutters or no shutters, and what Beth is saying is the shutters that are there, they function, so that's nice. If there's a hurricane, they can actually use them. But in the back, I've got so many windows that are multiple windows in a row. It's really hard to try to match shutters with what mostly on the existing house is a single window with shutters.
Yeah, especially when the new windows are a different style than
They
the old
are.
ones too.
Yes. So I just went with the no shutters, and it's the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there should be shutters on multiple windows. The only thing, maybe that single window would have a shutter since it's on everywhere else, but multiple windows, I would definitely not have it. And, shutters need to cover the windows. So obviously a 3-panel one, you really can't do it. Double, they have to be the same size. I mean, it's on the front there, but if you're gonna have a shutter at all, just be that single window in the back. Those, the doubles,
The
I
one
would
you
not.
had.
Yeah, that'd be the only place I would have a shutter.
And then does that look silly when all the rest of the windows back there don't have shutters?
Right.
Right, I mean, if double windows, you wouldn't expect it. If it's multiple window, you would not expect shutters.
The individual window is more akin to the double windows in style. It's kind of a transition from the front to the back as you go to the casements that don't have the sash in the middle. Doesn't come all right with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a big thing one way or the other,
Okay.
but I definitely would not put it on any of the multiple windows.
I don't feel super strongly about it either way. Is any other commissioners?
House. What's,
Commissioner Frazier?
If it's in the back, no one's going to see it, so.
Okay. Rather than make you rip off your shutters that work just fine.
I think the shutters are a nice pop of color
Yeah.
as far as kind of the eccentric look of Bluffton. But, that window is side by side. The existing window back there didn't have the shutter, so I
Yeah.
think that's,
Okay.
Overlooked. Any other?
I think that was it. Yeah. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you. All right, then we are looking for a motion. Or I guess we need to obviously make a determination, but it sounds like
yeah, I mean,
we were in agreement that all three of those we were being okay with. So someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is passed as approved by staff with the determinations agreed upon. I know that wasn't said, but, okay. Second COFA and new business, and I'm gonna have to recuse myself from this one.
All right.
So I'm gonna gather to you.
All right.
The following item is for 60 Bruin Road, located in the Tabby Roads Development, Lot 23. The request is by applicant Sarah Keppel of Pierce Scott Architects for Chris Dazzle of Prestige Worldwide Properties. The request is to allow the construction of a new 2.5-story commercial main structure of approximately 4,200 square feet and a detached 2-story commercial carriage house of approximately 1,100 square feet. Here is the location of the property. At fronts Bruin Road between Pearl Street and Burnt Church Road. And we did contact Beaufort County to see if there were going to be any improvements or anything required of the property owner. Due to improvements to Burnt Church, there will not be, so everything is fine. Photo of the property, looking at it from Burnt Church. This is Pearl Street here. Another view from Burnt Church, looking at Burnt Church here, looking at Bruin Road. Property is currently wooded. And then from Pearl Street within Tabby Roads development. Here's the site plan. Again, this is a commercial development. The front of the building will front onto Pearl Street. There will be a side entrance onto Bruin Road. And then the carriage house will then also have an appearance of frontage on Bruin Road, but the actual front of the building will face into the rear of the main structure. Here are some perspectives of both buildings. And another view from the parking lot. Additional views, I'll go quickly through the various elevations of both buildings. The front, the Bruin Road elevation, you can see a porch and a door entrance there. The parking lot view, the rear view of the main structure, the carriage house view, again, this will front into the rear, or to the rear of the main structure. This is how it will appear from Bruin Road. The parking lot view, the Burnt Church Road view. Have building sections, if we need to go back and see them. Roof plans, floor plans as well for both buildings. Wall section, rafter details, door details, window details, and the landscape plan as well. The review criteria, what has been provided is consistent with the UDO, except for the items that I will identify here in just a moment. You can approve the staff recommendation, have additional conditions, or deny the application as submitted by the applicant. A lot of these are just detail items, and I think in the future I'll combine them instead of having so many conditions because it looks a little more serious than it really is. The ones I've highlighted are the ones that I want to focus on. So we wanted to confirm the attic storage space in the main structure, whether or not it's a true half-story, and I need some additional information. There was a sheet that was missing from the plan set, and I want to be able to do that calculation to confirm whether or not we have an additional story or a true half-story. There are what appears to be slider windows, and I'll go back to that. Excuse me for bouncing around. And there are what? This was unclear to me when I was reviewing the plan. These appear to be slider windows, and I think maybe the applicant could speak to that. Back here, align the transom window over the door on the Pearl Street elevation, and that was done for another elevation, I believe, on the Bruin Road elevation, but not on the Pearl Street. Again, let me go back to that quickly. And you can see the transom windows appear taller than the adjacent windows, which is different from what we see on the Bruin Road elevation. Eight, provide materials, standard comment there, provide details for the garden walls that are proposed adjacent to Pearl Street and Bruin Road. That wall is intended to provide a screening wall for the parking area. Needs some additional information relating to the existing trees on the property that will be removed. And we need assurance that there's going to be 75% tree canopy coverage at maturity. I believe there was a little bit less than that, and we may need to have some different trees proposed to meet that requirement. There are some landscape and some hardscape proposed in the Bruin Road right-of-way that will need approval from the state, because that is a state road. There's also a utility easement there, so we just want to make certain that we have any encroachments are approved by those who hold those easements or the right-of-way owner. And we also want to make certain that on Pearl Street, we have a parking area. The parking area on Pearl Street is going to change a little bit because of the driveway configuration. So we want to be certain that that driveway will be able to hold a vehicle and be 18 feet in length. There are a few items that we need a determination on, and I'll go back to this in just a moment. I'll show you what I'm talking about. One is that the application of different wall materials at the ground floor on the main building was a little bit of a concern for staff, and felt more appropriate for that to be a determination of the commission. And we'll go back to that in just a moment. And also the applicant is proposing smooth face hardy panel for some of the soffits, which is not permitted by the UDO. So those two items would need a determination. Let me go back quickly to show you the wall main building. And you can see, and for both the carriage house and the main house, you can see this kind of a base detail around the bottom of the building. It's a board base, and because it's a different material from the hardy plank, staff would be more comfortable if the commission would make a determination as to the appropriateness. So I've gone through that pretty quickly. We have a number of conditions and then those two determinations.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for staff? Charlotte, you mentioned that parking spot on the on-street parking spot needing to be 18 feet deep. If that is not 18 feet deep, do they need that spot to count for the parking calcs? I didn't see the parking calcs.
So they do, they're off-street. They do comply with the off-street parking requirements.
Okay.
And if there's anything that needs to be reconfigured with that parking space, I'm trying to find my landscape plan.
So that could just be grass.
It could be, we'll work with Tabby Roads, with the HARB about what to do with that particular space. And that's their private property, so they can make the determination what to do with that. And you can see it right here.
Great.
You can see the driveway apron. It's a little odd shaped for the parking area, or parking space rather.
All right. Anything else? Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Keppel from Pierce Scott Architects, and I'm happy to answer any questions, or we could go through the list of staff questions also. How would you like to start?
If you have comments on her comments, and
Yeah, I have that.
Go
I
ahead
can
and
just go
start there.
through that.
Sure.
All right, so the first question was make sure the service yards are large enough. I have sized those and put approximate mechanical units in there and meters and all that. The second one was about the attic storage space up above. So let's go to a floor plan maybe. Okay, all right, actually the building section would be better. All right, so this is all under the roof There are no windows up there. The knee walls are 5'6" tall on the ends. And what we're intending this for is the clients want to have storage space up there. And then we've also carved out a section of it for mechanical units. So, but if you need a floor plan of that, I can certainly provide that, so you can double check, but that was the intention. It's not usable space up there. And then the next question is, exposed concrete foundation shall be tabby stucco. Most of our foundation is pretty close to the ground. Let's see. So, but we do have quite a bit of slope on the property from Pearl Street back to Burnt Church. So I've actually raised the accessory building, I think about a foot, maybe 18 inches higher than the front building. I guess here are the overalls. So if you can see in one of the two bottom pictures, the accessory building's a bit higher than the primary building in the front. And because of this and egress and trying to get ADA into the front of the building, we've ended up with a small ramp at the front, and then the front porch is raised up, I think it's 18 inches. So I will call out, I hadn't labeled that as tabby stucco there under that front porch, but I think that's the only place on the property that there would be any tabby stucco.
As far as the boral detail, though, the intention is that that goes to grade.
Yes.
Where it's applied over the
Yeah.
foundation. And
Yep, that's why we wanted to use the boral, so that it's not affected by being close to the dirt or anything. Thought that would be a nice solution for that. That also evolved because the board at Tabby Roads really wanted us to put this building 3 feet tall to match all the houses around it. I guess this is the first commercial building going in there, but this lot is zoned for it. It's actually one of the biggest lots in Tabby Roads. And so as a compromise, we proposed this base so that it will have the presence of a tall base like the neighbors, but we were able to put it closer to the ground. So that was the idea there. So.
cool.
All right. Fourth question, needed to call out the stair and ramp materials and the handrail materials. And yes, that note is missing. I've since added and I can provide that. The stairs are all brick and the only stairs we have are here at the front. And there's a ramp that's inset into the front porch, which you can see better from the floor plan, but you can get a hint of, the minimum metal handrail for the ramp and also handrail that's just metal for the stairs too. I can show you that on the floor plan. So over here, this is also intended to have the same finish as the porch with the brick edge at the top.
Okay.
All right. The next one says provide a door schedule with materials to show compliance with UDO. We did have a door schedule and all the exterior doors are called out as either wood or metal clad. And we were hoping that was acceptable. The front door is wood, and I believe all the other secondary doors are just metal clad.
Okay.
Number 6, the slider windows. These are not sliders, they're actually awning windows. Let's see, show you that elevation. So these two A windows are just smaller, high awning windows, primarily because it's in the service yard, and I didn't really need that office and a copy room looking out onto that. So that was the purpose there. The front door transom. The difference in height was asked about. We would prefer to leave this higher door assembly at the front of the building. We thought it needs a bit of a hierarchy, and historically, buildings don't have their door assemblies and their windows necessarily aligned. That's pretty typical, and I do have pictures in of that happening all over downtown here, Bluffton. So I would just request that that is approved, or that's okay.
That is the main entrance to the building, and then the other porch is just kind of.
The other porch is just secondary egress access, but yeah, not intended to be used on a daily basis.
Okay.
The material for the gutters and downspouts is to be metal. It says provide details for the garden wall. There are details on the second page of the landscape plans, and I didn't see that in the packet, but I double checked and that was submitted with the landscape plans. And then there's a note about providing a site plan and survey showing the size of trees and everything. We did submit that, I double checked, but it wasn't in this packet, but we have submitted the site plan. And then any trees that are to be removed, that was all noted on the landscape plan. And he had charts off to the side. I know just the plan was presented here, but he did have charts off to the side talking about tree coverage and everything. So if there's more, I wasn't sure whether it was a general note or if there's something more specifically that you saw. I'm happy to reach out to the landscape architect and get a clarification. Provide proof of any approval of landscaping or hardscaping in the state-owned right-of-way. So coming back to the site plan, zoom. All right, so the right-of-way, actually, why don't we show this on landscape plans? That would make more sense. All right, so the right-of-way is pretty much, we're sitting on the right-of-way with the primary building towards Bruin Street. So yes, there are plantings called out there. The only hardscape we have are the two sidewalks that would connect with the existing sidewalk running along Bruin Road. So I guess I'm not sure what the process would be to make sure that's approved. I guess does staff have any recommendation?
Yeah, we'll assist you.
Okay, all right. But yeah, we're happy to check on that. We were just trying to follow the kind of the planting levels that were required around the buildings. And then the on-street parking that was discussed on Pearl Street, what we're seeing in this view is actually the underlayment of the existing survey. That site has been noted in landscape plan and the architectural site plan that it's being removed. Tabby Roads is aware of that. We actually have added 2 additional spots in our lot to help ease the concerns of Tabby Roads, that we would not have anybody park on the street. But there wasn't any room. By the time we had the drive width that we needed, and then we still have to be a certain distance off of the state-owned road, which is Bruin Road from the corner there. We didn't have many options for that. So that parking spot doesn't exist anymore. If there's exterior lighting to be provided, provide a lighting plan. I did provide a plan that showed the building electrical plan with the exterior lights, but we are not planning on any parking lot lighting at this point. And we know signage is a separate application. And then the 2 questions that were put to staff were one about the boral foundation material and the use of smooth face hardy panel under the soffits. So.
Thank you. I just would like to jump back quickly just on a couple of the dimension comments. I think staff would appreciate if you guys would just do a quick diagram in the attic to show the 70, you're under the 70%, that's easy.
That's not a problem. I have a plan of
garden wall detail, I see that, but it's kind of dimensionless, so I think
is that in this?
it looks pretty consistent.
Okay, so just
I've got the plans up separately here.
Okay, so just have them add more detail or information to it.
I think what we need is to show that it's at least 50% opaque. Was that the metric, Charlotte? She's got the note in here.
Okay.
that 515, 6K has a metric to it for the amount of opacity of that wall. So just a calculation there on the solid void would be appreciated. And then he did provide a tree canopy coverage, but I don't, nowhere on that, he has some calculations on that sheet, but they don't appear to be the tree calcs. So there's like a green shaded plan, but the only note on there says 53%, and I'm not entirely sure whether that is lot coverage or whether you're short on the tree canopy. So
Okay.
I think we do kind of
All
need to
right,
address
so
that
more
one.
clarity in that tree calculation.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the lighting plan for exterior lighting, Charlotte, that is just parking lot lighting and site lighting.
Yeah,
That
there
wouldn't
wasn't any
pertain to
additional.
porch mounted lighting.
Yeah, the porch.
Photometrics aren't required, right?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Let's start on the end.
No, I mean, I was surprised how they were able to put a parking lot that big in that neighborhood.
What's that?
I was surprised you were able to put a parking lot that big in that neighborhood. It's just,
Well,
I
because
didn't
of
realize
the-
how big the lot was until I saw that drawing.
Yeah, because of the use, we need to have some of that parking, but then we're also trying to cover that. We're actually losing 2 spots on the street, so we added those. Yes, this parking lot, commercial in general has been a challenge with Tabby Roads too.
And we met all the handicap requirements, because I know that was an issue last month.
Yeah, so, yeah, they've got 2
All right.
handicap spots
Okay, good.
on
All right,
the property.
I'm good.
Commissioner Frazier, any commentary?
I mean, we can touch on some of that, the front door, I know that's one of the things. I think that's perfectly fine. What, you say it's wood, what is it gonna be, mahogany?
Mahogany or,
I think because that's a special element, I don't have any issue with that being taller. The boral, I appreciate a unique detail on that. I don't have any issue with that, I think it works fine with it. Can we go to the front elevation of the carriage house? One more back.
oh, that one.
Is there any reason you couldn't have a window above that door? That just looks like a blank wall.
Yeah, no,
I
that
mean,
would
that's
be
a stair. It
fine.
doesn't look like on plan there's any issue with that. It just feels like it's too blank for that entry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, we just, from a program standpoint, didn't need one. If we do add one there, we'll probably add one on the opposite side too.
Yeah, that's fine. It feels like it's a little too blank for the entry. And then one last thing on if you can go to the, just the porch section.
Like a
Wall
building section of it?
Wall section. Yeah, right there.
Okay, yeah, with the
Um,
enclosed porch.
I think that the slab needs to be moved out a little bit because that column is right on that edge of it. And then the trim is beyond the edge of the actual, I mean, once that brick's there, you're really gonna have a 1/4 inch. I think the slab needs to moved out. It's too far, it's too close to the edge, I guess is what I'm saying, that column.
Okay, yeah, I mean, typically what we would aim for is the face of the column aligned with the face of the structure below with the concrete. And then by the time we've added that base, it does appear to be going further.
Yeah.
I think this would be fine. We could extend it, a couple, maybe
I don't
another
think it needs
inch
to
or
be
two.
much. We just don't want to, I mean, in reality, it could get built over it, and that's what we don't want. Is that
Yeah,
you have the
we've-
base on there,
Yeah,
it actually
that's,
gets over the brick.
well, it
It looks
has
very
another
close
inch and a
here.
half before it gets to the brick, but, or at least an inch, sorry. But I've extended the brick 2 inches beyond the concrete, but, yeah, we can
I would just
double
move
check
that, out,
that.
just make sure that that's everywhere.
Yeah, we don't
I
have
think the
that
plan
Detail in here.
reflects it a little bit, kind of reflects that.
Yeah, that's fine.
You just see it a lot that column gets over, gets too close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had 2 questions. One, just looking at this, the wall section with the boral detail shows that stopping at the slab.
Yes, I actually have since redlined this and modified the detail that it needs to be, and it does change as the grade going along the side of the building, but I was hoping that it would be within an inch of finished grade. I wanted a full board at the bottom, essentially. But I did
I think that's
also,
what we would like to see, because it would be weird. I mean, I think we're in agreement.
I don't want the
Weird see
foundation
that
to stop.
step in.
Yeah. I've also added a note here anyway in the detail that says wherever any concrete might be exposed, it needs to be tabby finish. So,
Okay.
but yeah, that's the intention, is for it to essentially go into the ground.
And the boral material can have that exposure. We're not going to get the building department pulling apart the detail at the last second.
No, we've actually done this detail a couple of times, and Boral is not bothered at all by dirt and being
Okay.
right on the ground.
Cool. And I had a question on the roofs of the two buildings. One is a 712. The main building is a 712 pitch, and then the accessory building is 8 and 12. And I was curious because they're basically the same detail.
Yeah, let me
What the-
see, that
what the thoughts
evolved
were
a
on-
couple of times. Don't remember why. Oh, I think it all used to be 8, actually, and then we were at a height issue. We're within like 2 inches of the height that we can be, I think, for the primary building. But I could see what the accessory would look like being lowered. I hadn't noticed that, but yeah.
I think it would be nice if those matched, given their detailing's really very similar.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's all right, then I'll just lower the accessory, not raise the main.
Any other?
Actually, it might have been, let me look at the section of that, it might have been for mechanical, now that I'm thinking about it. A little bit of room up there.
Any further discussion or questions? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with staff recommendations. Any other recommendations you guys want to add?
And I did write them down.
Okay.
I hope I have them all. The window, to add a window above, for the carriage house, add a window above the door. And then I believe there is going to be another window that's going to be added opposite side, to move the slab out slightly from the column 1 to 2 inches. And then to match roof pitches and the lower the carriage house roof pitch. And for the, let's see, did I get the?
I had that we were striking staff comments, number 6, the slider windows, and number 7, the front door transom.
Transom, correct. And I believe that is it.
And the exterior.
And to allow the boral material,
So the motion is to approve with the new conditions.
correct.
And we also need to have a findings on number 16 and 17.
And the findings on number 16 and 17 as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to state the findings? You started the motion.
All right. All right, so motion to approve with staff recommendations plus the additions per HPC and the application of the different wall materials on the ground floor of the main building and the carriage house, as well as the use of the boral material, plus the use of smooth face hardy panel for some soffits.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to Historic District Monthly Update.
So we've had a few site feature applications, mostly related to signage, one a residential fence, and for exterior repairs and removal of an unsafe chimney at Hayward House. So most of them have been approved. The only one that's on hold right now is the fence for 32 Garrard Avenue. And a little bit of a slow month, but that's it.
Any questions?
Has the carport discussion gone any further?
Not yet. It's a matter of time and the holidays. So we have an intern right now, so we're going to start doing our review, inventory, the carports in Old Town. And so based on that information, then we'll start identifying what we need to do to go forward.
Okay. And we've been waiting on the UDO document to be updated.
We received it today. I just need to go through to make certain it matches what was approved in the ordinance. I need to do the comparison. They've done a great job. You're going to really like it when you see it. It's going to be very easy to use.
Cool, great.
Awesome.
And I will tell you also, we are going to have a February HPC meeting.
We are.
Was it canceled previously?
No, I just wanted you to be aware in advance in case you've got plans. I think there are 2 items right now. One is Sarah Riley Hooks.
Oh, okay, good. All right, to the next meeting dates, Wednesday, February 5th. Any other discussion? And I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.